Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 198, when the line between client and friendship blurs.
This is something that we see a lot of virtual assistants, a trap they fall into, maybe not a trap, but the virtual assistants, especially the freelancers who put people first, who really value genuine connections and building genuine relationships. But we're here to tell you that when those lines between client and friendship blur, it gets muddy and some not so nice things can come from it.
You don't want to make any of your clients your biz bestie.
Yeah. I've done
It
it,
needs to be-
Joe. I've
Yeah.
done it.
It needs to be someone outside your business that you're talking about your business and sharing and being vulnerable, but not the right person. Because there's all sorts of things that can happen from that, right?
Yeah. Because I think we need to remind ourselves that not every client, well, I don't think any client is going to stay with you forever. Ever.
No.
Something is going to happen, whether it's they no longer become a great fit or they change direction in their own professional lives. For whatever reason, it doesn't have to end badly, but it's not going to last forever. And then what happens? What happens if you actually consider them a really close friend and they're not?
That would be hurtful that you put that kind of time, energy into what you've thought is a friendship, but it actually hasn't been reciprocated. You kind of assumed it has until there's no longer a reason to talk anymore. Yeah.
Awkward.
Mhm.
Or what happens if it was to end badly for whatever reason? I feel like that's even more awkward when somebody that you then consider a friend might then put their professional hat back on and go, right, okay, it's ending, it's business, it's very black and white. And then you're left going, oh, what do you mean it's business? I thought we were friends.
I think we could definitely fall into a trap of assuming there is a friendship, but it's one-sided and you haven't realized.
And you don't realize until it has ended.
Yeah.
I think before we hopped on, Joe, you were talking about that power imbalance almost that can then happen.
Yeah. There is definitely an imbalance there because if you try to be friends outside of work, there's always that social kind of hierarchy that humans do naturally. And I just think that there would be an imbalance of power in that relationship outside of the work relationship, the client relationship. And I think that it could just really get messy and muddy and hurtful and kind of be a weird dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to think about the definition of a healthy friendship would be that balance with what you are putting in, energy, effort, how many coffees you pay for, how many lunches you go, no, this one's on me, compared to what you are then getting back. That's no longer healthy. Like if you're putting more of that in than you're getting back. And so blurring those lines between friendship and a professional client VA relationship, resentment again, like we talk about resentment a lot, don't we? Like I feel like it's come up again in this conversation too. That's when you start feeling resentful if you're not getting back what you're putting in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's important to remember that there is definitely a difference between friendship and friendliness. So we'd
Yes.
hope that you wouldn't go and assume that because your client is being super friendly with you, that means that they want to be friends with you.
Yeah, in my mind, being friendly, you can still speak freely, you can still be honest and open about things. You could absolutely still meet up and have a coffee and a lunch or even a nighttime drink. But I think where the boundaries blur when you're doing all those things, it needs to be work related, right? The
Yeah.
majority of the time that you are at that lunch or drinks or breakfast or brunch should be focused on work.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last thing we want is any resentment to happen because that's not a good place to be in.
Do you get your friends to sign contracts, Joe?
To be my friend?
Yeah.
Definitely not.
So good reminder, right? Getting somebody to sign a contract with you for any type of relationship, then friend or client. Do your friends pay you to spend time with them?
No.
So very
I wish
clear.
they did. That would be a great money-making scheme.
That's another way to clarify or to remind
Mm.
yourself that they're not your friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Not your friend, but you can be friendly.
Yes.
You can have a great time with them. You can enjoy their company. You can meet up, but remember and remind yourself that it is a client relationship. There
Mm,
is money exchanging hands for a service that you're providing.
yes. Let's talk about the things that can happen when the lines between client and friendship blur. The first thing that comes to mind, and I have totally fallen into this trap, is gold plating. Going, okay, I've reached the point in whatever it is that I'm working on where this client slash friend will be very happy. This is what they're paying me for. But because I really like them and because I know what's going on in their lives, I'm probably going to put more time and effort into that thing without using my
Mm.
timer.
And then the guilt of actually sending them an invoice and charging them for the time that you're working on something for them. That can absolutely happen.
Especially if you know that they're going through some stuff, whatever that stuff is. If
Mm.
they've got some personal shit going on in their lives, or if you know that they're waiting for to be paid from one of their big clients, so finances are tight, because you know all this, you're more than likely to go, "Oh, well, I'll just give them a little bit of leeway on that."
Yeah, it can definitely fall into a trap of thinking that you need to discount, not charging them the same as someone you don't have a friendship with. Or I don't want you to get into that either.
Feeling awkward about putting up your prices.
Because you've got to have that conversation and put friendship aside to then talk about money and them paying you more. That makes it very blurry and awkward for you.
Yeah. Your boundaries can start to slide. So those work hours, if you get an after hour call from this particular client who you've built a friendship with, not just friendly, but you consider them a friend, I bet you're going to answer it. You're going to answer
Mm.
that call because it's
Yeah.
blurry. Are they calling because they want a friend or are they calling because they need to talk to their virtual assistant?
Yeah. And when you are then having a conversation with them, is this a charged conversation? Is it a billable conversation?
I
Or are they expecting this to be a friendship conversation? And then are you giving them advice, help, support? Oh,
Mhm.
that is very blurry. That's gonna cause some issues for sure.
Totally. Let's talk about getting complacent. If
And there's
you,
a very real risk of this.
yeah, I think, and once again, this is speaking from experience.
Mm.
Those clients that I have felt that we are friends, it's easy to go, okay, right, I'm going to put this other client who I'm not friends with above the one that I am friends with, or consider I think I'm friends with, because they're going to give me some leeway. They're going to give me some leeway if maybe I'm a day late with that thing that I said I was going to get to them.
Yeah, it's very easy to stop prioritizing them because you start taking them for granted as a client because you've got the friendship and you think that the friendship is so strong that they'll never leave and they'll be okay with missed deadlines or a lack of communication about where you're up to with things. But those start to drop off. You definitely get complacent. I've experienced this, which is assumed that, oh, that client will be fine because friends with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that you're getting into some dangerous territory when you're at that point. I've also experienced regular catch-ups, which in my diary, they're in there for an hour or 30-minute regular catch-up with this particular client / friend. Now, you can easily spend that first 30 minutes just chatting, catching up. Are you respecting your own time then when that regular catch-up is taking twice as long as you've put in your diary that you've blocked that time out for?
And that client's going to be mad with you, that you consider a friend. That friend / client is going to be mad with you if you charge them for the whole time. Because then they were assuming that you were having a catch-up. Oh, very blurry.
Looking at that list, I want to avoid all of that. None of that is healthy for your business. None of that is healthy for your bank account. None of that is healthy for your mental health. If you are getting hurt because you're putting more in.
Yeah. So remember that there is a difference between friendliness and friendship. You can absolutely be friendly, lovely, get to know one of your clients really well, and it not cross the boundary into friendship. So you can still have a great time, still have a great relationship with your client without taking it to the friendship zone. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.